Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before I start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nurul Azifah Karamah with ID number 20400124007, and I made this video formally to complete my assignment about understanding inflectional morphology. So without any further ado, let's get started. First thing first, I would like to explain about the primary role of inflectional morphology. So, the primary role of inflectional morphology is to mark grammatical feature like tense, gender, case, a person, or even agreement. Unlike the derivational, which created a different category and different meaning, inflectional does not alter the core meaning of a word. Instead, they give us sign to signal to how a word function in a sentence. For example, the word walk and walked, it shares the same meaning. It means to move feet, but walked show the action happened in the past. Move to the question number 2, which said about type of verbs in English. So in English, tense is mainly marked on verb in two ways, by adding endings and by changing the verb forms. For regular verb, the past tense is formed with the suffix ed, such as walk into walked and play into played. In the present tense, the third person singular form with subject and like she, he, it takes the ending s. For example, like she runs or he reads. However, many verbs are irregular, do not follow these rules. Does not follow these rules because instead their form change completely, such as go to went, eat to ate, and etc. Besides this change, English also uses auxiliary verb to show aspect, which tell us more about how the action happened over time. For instance, she is running shows progressive aspect. In short, English tense marking is done through endings, irregular verbs, forms, and auxiliary. For the following question, I will explain also about the difference between regular inflectional and also irregular inflectional. So regular inflectional forms follow consistent predictable rule. For example, most verbs form the past tense by adding ed. For example, play into played. And most noun form plurals with s, book into books. Because of their consistency, regular forms are easier for learners to acquire. Irregular inflectional forms, on the other hand, do not follow standard rules. They often change the word internally. For example, the word food into feed, eat into ate, and also use unique endings. For example, child into children. These forms are common sources of error since learners cannot simply apply a rule, they must memorize each irregular separately. In a language teaching, irregular forms usually require explicit practice and repeated exposure to become automatic. Furthermore, learners frequently struggle with overgeneralization. It's about applying regular rules into irregular words. For example, saying she danced instead of she dances, and also omission of a verb endings. It's about forgetting the third person singular s, as in the word she walked into instead of she walks, and confusion of a plural and possessive forms. In writing, the dog's bone instead of the dog's bone. There's the example. And also, the mistake happen because learners may not notice the inflectional endings in speech, or they might transfer patterns from their first language. Teacher can help by using correction strategies such as color coding endings and providing irregular verb charts, and encouraging learners to notice the difference through communicative tasks. And finally, teacher can use a variety of techniques to verb endings more noticeable and memorable. The first step is sentence frames, giving incomplete sentence to the students like she blah 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 every day. So learners must fill in the correct form. For and also color code to text, highlighting ending like S or ED in a bright color so learners visually notice the forms. And also close activity, using gap fill exercise to practice verb forms in a context. And also repetition and meaningful exposure, encouraging learners to repeatedly encounter verb endings in authentic reading, listening, and speaking tasks. Research show that repeated practice help learners internalize these patterns, improving both accuracy and fluency. That's all of my explanation. Sorry if I had some mistakes. So, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.